Hello and welcome to this beer clipper video. This is another video where I'm showing how to recover from warps. But it's a little bit more than that as well. That's kind of part of the motivation. But it's also going to be me exploring and trying out and hopefully developing a successful method of tiling and having tiles with full terrain tiles on the table. I make a lot of scattered terrain because scattered terrain is easier and it's easy to throw down on the table and play. But ultimately and originally I always wanted to make tiles and have a full immersion on the tabletop. That's very important to me. I love the way that you can look at a board and feel like you're in it, and that's what I try to do. That's what I try to achieve. Is not realistic scenery but immersive scenery. That's what I'm trying to build. And this video comes from one I'll link up here and will be in the description below. It was a Battle Games Middle Earth build, actually two of them. One from quite a long time ago and then one that came out at the beginning of December, where I'm making big tiles for rivers and lakes and shores, and they're very large and they're very flat. And I've got one here. This is one from the first video that I did, and you can see that's pretty badly warped. And it's just warped over time. I mean, it's been in storage. It's been very hard to store because it's got an island on it, and some of them have buildings on, and some of them have other protrusions on top. So they're not all dead flat. Funnily enough, the flat ones that are only rivers are still pretty much not warped, but these ones are badly warped and they're not good. So what I'm going to try to do is put these onto a base that will prevent warping. We'll also make them all the same level, and maybe I can then make more of these and even do more land and what have you, and really extend these tiles so that they can become something I can put down on the table and play a really awesome game using those. And the other thing will be to have a way of storing them. So it's quite a extensive and adventurous video. There's a lot to go through. It's going to be a lot of learning for me and a lot of experimentation, and hopefully it'll be really useful and enjoyable for you to watch. So please do let me know in the comments below what you think. I do love to read all those comments and I do reply to them all, so don't be shy. Anyway, let's get to it. We're going to go to a room I don't go into very often for my videos. Let's take you down to my workshop, which is still in progress. I've not really finished it. It's just very much messy and full of rubbish, but I do have a bench and I am going to be able to do the first bits down there. So yeah, let's get cutting. So here we are down in my workshop. What I'm going to be looking at doing is using wood, which I've got behind me here. And I'm going to make a frame which I'm going to sit these tiles on. So I'm going to need to make lots and lots of these frames. I'm going to need to make a bit of a conveyor belt of work. And when those frames are built, I'm going to look at how I can potentially drill some holes through. So I'm thinking about maybe joining them with dowels or something like that. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to work on that, so that when they're put in, you can kind of slot at least the outer ones together with some dowels, and that will then keep them together. I can't do the clamp idea because I need to make the box hole, so I might be able to cut out a little clamp area in each corner, and I might be able to do clamps on the outside. I've got all sorts of ideas, but we'll come to those as we experiment. But the first thing I need to do is find out exactly what the dimensions are and cut some wood. This is going to be my test piece. So if I look at the exact dimensions of this, it is 48.5 by 48.5. There we are, you see. It's almost like I measured it. I didn't, I promise. So what I'm going to do is get my wood, and I've gone for like thinner, taller. So it's hopefully going to not be too heavy, because obviously weight is an issue. Let me just get this all unwrapped and I'll start talking again. Wow, that's a bit of a mission. So the profile I've gone for is, let me tell you exactly the size of it. It's 3 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters. And the idea is this is going to be have a good lateral, so it's not going to bend like this, but it's also not going to add weight by being square. So I'm going to have a good amount to prevent the warp, but keep the weight down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that 48.5 centimeters, 485 mil, and I'm going to cut 4 lengths. And then what I'm going to do, because I've got my little tenon block here, is I'm going to cut 45 degrees off each end, and then I can screw and glue and make a box. At least that's the idea. So I'll move this out of the way and we'll get cutting. Clearly I have all sorts of power tools, but one of the things that I've found is that power tools can have quite a large kern. Their cut makes it hard to be really accurate, certainly with the level of skill that I've got. So actually going with a manual saw like this and with a tenon block like this gives me a little bit more control, and it means I can say, right, I'm dead on that line now, and I'm happy to cut. And it doesn't take all that long either. So there we are, we have our first cut. Let's double check to make sure I've not screwed up on the measurements, because knowing me, I might have done. I haven't. So what I now need is 4 more lengths like that, which I should be able to get just out of this one length. And then I'll cut the 45 degrees, and then I will, and then I'll be able to glue and screw it. So actually, let me just show you how I'm going to go about with the 45 degrees. We have a couple of options here. This here is a 45 degree at the end, so I can put that like that, and then I could cut like that, which is a bit difficult in a sense. I'm not sure I want to do that. I believe this is also 45 degrees. So this is going to be easier for me, and what I need to think about is how am I going to join it. I need to cut 45 degrees along like that, along the top, because I want to build the box so it's tall. So what I'm going to do is get that in place. It's a bit difficult for me as a righty actually. There's a right-hander. Let me actually see if I can turn it around like that and cut. I do like my tenon blocks, but you do have to kind of make sure you're not being stupid. So let me cut that out now. And there we are. We have our corner. So I'm going to get all the rest of these cut. When I've got a full box, I'll bring you back and show you the gluing and screwing. It's ages since I've got to play with these, and I'm very excited to get to play with them again. So these are my corner mates, and they are brilliant for this kind of thing. So the way that you do it, and you can see that it is actually going to work. I was a little worried because they don't close completely, so if you've got too thin material they don't work, but they're going to work fine for this. But the way that you do it is you're looking at basically they go on the inside. So if you put your corners together like that, and you can pull the spring back and set it in like so, and then you can adjust the corner until it matches, and then you get your 90 degrees like that. And that now means that what I can do is I can drill and glue, and I will have a perfect 90 degrees that it will hold at while I'm waiting for it to dry. And when that's done, then I can remove the corner mates, and I'll be able to I'll have a good solid frame. So put the last one on. Might be easier doing it this way around. It's a while since I've used these, like I say. Yeah, that's going to be easier doing it this way around. That was a bit klutzy of me. So yeah, they've got good strong spring on them and hold everything really tight. So there we are, good spring. You can hear my messenger going. We've got a minute or two now to do this, but yeah, there we are. So there's our frame. That's nice and square, as you can see. So what I'll do now, I won't film this because it's pointless to show you, but it's just going to drill a hole in here. I'm probably going to put 2 screws in each, very small screws, countersink them, glue them as well. So I'll drill Then I'll glue and screw, and then what I'll do is once that's all done, I will then come along and I'll sand down the corners, and there we have our frame. And it is very, very rigid. Now I might end up putting a couple of cross beams across. I'm not sure. This is very much an experiment, as I've said. So I might change my mind and put a cross beam across and see, just to see how strong it is. But initially, certainly all I'm going to do is this and see if this is going to be enough. And it is also really nice and light. So yeah, framing looking good. Let's get drilling and gluing. So my eulogy to those corner clamps turned out to be a little bit misguided, because while they're awesome, they don't actually keep it as straight as a square as I needed. So what I've had to do is take it apart. I noticed it before it all glued. And what I'm doing instead is I'm putting in a corner block. Now I thought I'd have to do this anyway. I just hoped I would be able to get away without having to take them apart and I'd be able to use those corner clamps. These are just offcuts, which are from a previous build that they're just lying around in the workshop. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to be gluing this corner piece now, and I'll do this on camera again to show how it's going to work. And that's going to be glued and screwed in place with one of these 90-degree clamps clamped on the inside. And then what I will do is, once I'm happy with that and that's set and settled, I will take a cut down there, that line there, glue that in place as well, and then clamp this on the outside, the metal thing on the outside, to this, and then that will hold it all completely square. And when that's dried, you can see that is totally square, 90 degrees, and that's perfect. So once these two pieces are done, then I will glue them together, and for that I'll need two of these braces, two of these 90 degrees. So I picked up another one today. Well, Angela did for me, bless her. Thank you, Angela. And then I'll be able to glue it all together and do exactly the same thing. So clamp on the inside to do the screwing, and then put in place one of these blocks. So I think it's going to work. I hope it's going to work. It's a lot of work, a lot of uses of the word work there. So yeah, so I'll get this done. I'll put some music on. I'll need to get a drill. I haven't got any holes drilled in this yet, so I need to go and get a drill. But I'll put some music on and we'll get it all done so you can see the process. And then when it's dried, I'll bring it back and we'll have a look at putting the whole frame together. Okay, so let's get this now glued in 4. Now there is going to be a bit of an interesting thing, because if I just shift this over a little bit, my saw, so when I was cutting these by hand, and I'm very pleased I did cut them by hand because I learned something, I got it pretty right, apart from the fact that I didn't actually have a tenon saw. And I've been trying to find one. I can't find one anywhere in Bulgaria. But if we have a look at this far corner, and I'll just zoom in a bit so that you can see. Yeah, so if we look at that corner, you can see that how that isn't straight. And that's because the saw I was using was too thin for the cutting guide and flexed, bent. So I'm going to struggle to get that square without, I'm probably going to have to use some of this the glue that's going to act as a filler, or maybe I'll be able to just screw it and then fill it once I've screwed it. But yeah, that's going to cause me a problem over in that corner. So that's one thing to say. So if we come back out, we're going to try my new drill, my new driver, but I am going to be able to glue this. Now, because again I have done this twice, I actually undid it and took it apart. I'm actually end up with not needing to drill this side, so I'm not going to get to try my drill on my new driver, but I am going to get to try the screw, which is good. So let's get that clamped. Okay, that's pretty nice. That went in well. Pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the other side and screw that in. I will cut and fit the uprights as I've been doing here as the square at corners. One other thing that I have done since last recording is I've placed the tile on top. It does work fine, but I am going to need to put a couple of cross braces across, so I'm going to need to cut another couple of lengths that are going to be 48.5 minus 3, because they're 1.5, so 45.5 mil to go across. Though what I could try and get smart with is do a V. That would be stronger, but I'm probably not capable to do that. The reason I might need to do that, and I've just noticed I've actually made a mistake here, I might have to undo that. So what you'll notice is it's warped because I've not got that straight, and that's because of this problem I've got with the with having not cut the angle right. So I'm going to need to undo these and make sure that I keep this square and straight. That's better now. So I pulled it too tight, basically. So yeah, you can see there's a little gap. I need to keep that little gap. So the screws need to not be in quite so much now. Make sure I'm not causing it to lift. Once I've got this block in place, and I'm going to screw this in again. So there's an interesting thing. So anyway, yeah, so I need to put some cross bracing across, otherwise these tiles are not going to be strong enough and they're really easily going to be put through if someone puts any weight on them at all. So yeah, I will finish this up. I'll bring you back, tell you anything else I do, any other learnings I do, but otherwise I think this technique is going to work fine, and I'm pretty happy with it as it stands. But yeah, there's a few mistakes I've made in terms of accuracy of cuts, which is causing the problems you're seeing in terms of slightly warping. It's not actually warping, it's actually just been pulled up because there's too much of a gap here. So anyway, there we are. I'm learning woodworking. I'm going to do more and more of it. I really want to get good at it, but you've got to start somewhere. So I've left these overnight to give it a really good chance to seal up, and hopefully what we've got now is a very, very nice square frame. As I said, I'm going to need to put some braces across, which I will get done, and I will obviously bring you along for that. But for now, what I need to do actually is put these screws in better, because obviously I couldn't do that. I'm not going to over torque them for now because I need to fill this gap, and I've got some wood filler here which I'm going to fill the gaps, and then when that's totally filled and dried, then I'll be able to sand it down and get a nice finish. But we're just going to put these screws in as well. As I say, not going to over torque them. Okay, here we are, so that's done. So I'll let that go off, and then I'll come and I'll sand down any rough edges, and then we'll have a look and see how well that's going to actually have the top stuck on it. I'll do the cutting and fit the cross braces as well. Pretty pleased with this. It's taken quite a long time, but I've obviously been exploring and learning, and hopefully the mistakes I've made this time round won't happen again. But yeah, hopefully that's going to be really good and give me a really good playing surface. Oh, I've done it. This is now pretty good. Pretty happy with that. It's pretty flat. I think actually I've got that upside down. There we are, that's better. Yep, that's the way I wanted it. So what I'm going to be doing now is gluing down this onto the top just to prove the final kind of like step. And I'm going to go away and I'm going to make some more of these. Now, I might do a little follow-up because I might construct these slightly differently. What I think I might do is get rid of the 90 degree to 45 degrees. That's what's proven the most difficult part of it. I'm going to do another test, and I'm going to do 48.5 and 45.5, which is what these are, and then see whether that comes out better, because I am going to be screwing and gluing. I do have the brackets to keep them at 90 degrees, so if I can get my cuts straight, then then that might be a bit better. And also I have actually used the power tool to cut these just as a test, and it's okay. My blade has a bit of a wide kerf, which is a bit of annoying, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do now is run a bead of wood glue, just white PVA, all around the edge like this. I don't want to put too much on, and then I will put the terrain on top and glue it down, and hopefully it works. And if it does work, then like I say, I'll do some follow-ups, and I've got quite a lot of other, for all the rest of this terrain that I want to finish off like this, but also I'm doing some more terrain which I think I might also build like this. And as a follow-up, at some point I will discuss how I'm going to be storing this, because I do have plans for that as well, but that's not going to happen immediately. Right now this is just going to end up being a more resilient tile, but I'll still struggle to store it for the time being, I think. So there we are. So, bit of PVA, not too much. Spread it out nice and thin. And then carefully place the tile on top, like so. You can see the warp that I'm killing. And what I'm going to do is carefully weight it down. So I think I'm going to need some more weights. So I'll just put a few more weights around the edge just to make sure it glues all completely nicely. But we'll check back on that tomorrow, see how that's dried, and then wrap this up. I've got these two finished now, and I'm really pleased with how they've come out. I've learned a lot doing these two, and I'll be able to go much faster on the follow-ups, but this is so much better. They've not got any warp, as you can see. There's no rocking at all, which is perfect. Well, maybe a little bit on that one, but like a millimetre. Just really within the bounds of what I was aiming for. What I've worked out and how I've ended up doing it is slightly different to how the video opened. These are actually 1.5 centimetres shorter than I was cutting, so they are 37. And how I'm doing this is I'm joining them at 90 degrees and using the clamps, which is working very well. I haven't put the, well, I have had to put some extra braces on this one because these outer were actually slightly warped like this, which wasn't ideal, but that's perfectly fine. It's made it more secure. This one only has the two braces across, and that's probably what I'm going to do. So it's 4 cuts of 37 centimeters, 370 mil, and then the other two across the middle are 35.5. My maths is terrible. And that then is all the wood that you need. So and it's pretty quick. Now I'm going to pause for a bit in making these because right now below my feet, if there's some noise, it's because my builders are doing my workshop, which is going to have a proper workbench, so I won't be working on the gaming table here, which isn't really what I want to do, and a proper table saw, and everything will be able to be done much better in the correct environment. So I'm going to wait for them to finish up before I carry on, but I've got loads more of these to make. I've probably got 15, 20 more just to cover the tiles I've already got, and then there's going to be more tiles that I'll be making. And indeed, probably already released by the time this video comes out, my Battle Games in Middle-earth build for Lothlorien is going to be done on the same style of tiles, so I could potentially have this as the River Anduin and then have the tiles for Lothlorien coming off it, which is really cool. So yeah, so I'm going to be making a lot of these and enhancing and improving it as I go. So it's solved the problem of the warp from these tiles, but it's also given me a really good idea of how to go forwards and how to make a really sustainable, nice, warp-free tiling system. So I hope that helps. Hope that gives you some encouragement. I'm going to try and do more woodworking and things like that on the channel as my workshop is done. Obviously that will make it easier for me, but this is a nice little start of a tent. I'll dip my toe in the water. Let's see where this can go. I will get some pictures and then wrap up. Well, there we are. I'm really pleased with these tiles, and I have made some more. This video is coming out a little earlier than I expected because I've decided to split it in two. Finish it here with the making of the actual tiles and how I'm doing the frames, and I'll do a follow-up once I've made loads more, which I'm doing at the moment, and I'm then going to look at how I'm going to tie them together. So I'll do that as a separate video. I was considering doing this all at once, but that will be following up, so keep your eye out for that. There will be some links throughout the video to other builds that I've referenced, so where I made those original tiles, if you're interested in where they come from. Also, they'll be linked in the description below. But yeah, I'm really pleased. They're really stable, they're really light, they're really easy to store, and that's what's most important. So like I say, I'll be coming to that subject, storing and linking, in a future video. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you've done something similar. Let me know if you think I've done it wrong or if there's a better way of doing it. I'd love to hear from you. I do love all the comments I get. I do reply to every single one of them. And as always, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.